we discuss how Likkle ideas are transformed into big dreams. On the toolkit, and you will access a lot of resources. A lot of the information that we presented here today, there are a lot of activity sheets. So we encourage you to download some of that information. Also, there's a digital swag bag with. Good evening, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It's another Wednesday, and it's time for Likkle Byte Ideas. I'm Doreed Whitlock. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer with Samuel Fields Consulting Group. And we are delighted that you have chosen to spend a little time with us as we discuss another great financial topic. Of course, I do not do this show alone, so let me get my co-host in here, Megan Samuel Fields.
Well, hello, Doreed, and hello to all our viewing and listening friends. Thanks so much for being here today.
Yes,
it seems as if it was just yesterday we were on to read. These weeks are flying by too fast.
These weeks just run into each other.
Crazy.
But it's always great to talk about finance. And
always,
in addition to talking about finance, we remind you that this is February Black History Month. But as far as we're concerned, every day is Black History Day in Antigua and Barbuda. And we are delighted today to spotlight another business and some pioneers in business. We want to hear about their financial journey. Layered on top of that, they're in the film industry. So, we better get our act together today with this show because we're under the spotlight. We have the indomitable couple, Howard and Mitzi Allen, as our guests today. And everyone who knows anything about independent filmmaking, you've heard about Hammer International. And we are delighted. Howard and Mitzi, how are you today?
I'm well. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm good.
So
Fantastic.
glad that you're here.
Yep. So, of course, we're spotlighting businesses, entrepreneurs, pioneers in business, people who have been trailblazers. And when it comes to independent filmmaking in Antigua and Barbuda and the Eastern Caribbean, you're definitely, the head of the class.
Number one.
Best in class. And so I'm a film junkie. Don't have a lot of experience, but I'm always fascinated by it. So I've been following your journey. And I think on top of that, the idea that you are a couple, you mix personal and business, you mix love and business, business and pleasure. I think this is going to be a great discussion today because there's so many dynamics here. So we want to hear about your filmmaking pursuits. We're going to go way, way back to Sweetest Mango. We have the trailer. We're going to load that up in a minute to remind everyone where it all started for us. Of course, your story started before that. I want to hear about that as well. And then, of course, we want to move into modern day. You're out there doing your thing. I see that you're doing stuff in Guadeloupe or Martinique. It's in my consciousness. So I really want to congratulate you guys for having the staying power and continuing to contribute to our various cultural art forms and helping to document that. That's just so special and I think so important, critical to our history. So we're going to talk a bit about that. And of course, we want to hear how you make this marriage and business work. I mean, you're talking about some dynamics that most people can't even fathom.
We'll keep separate.
I'm telling you, and everything they tell us don't mix business and pleasure. So something tells me that you guys have broken a lot of rules.
Yes.
Something tells me. So we can't wait to hear these stories, but let's get started and take it back to where we first became aware of your work, to the trailer for The Sweetest Mango. Everyone sit back, It's about a minute and a half, but let's relish those memories. It's Black History Month.
You know, I tell myself that I could never fall in love again. This could be trouble, big trouble.
What stability you talking, girl? I already have a fella lined up for you.
What fella?
Things never work out right.
Hammer Productions presents The Sweetest Mango, featuring the sights and sounds of Antigua.
I can't control my feelings. There's nothing left to hide. Happiness is somewhere calling. Is what
You're going to get hurt.
You're just jealous.
Cause love keep pulling there, pulling there in your arms, pulling there.
Come on in. The water's fine.
This is life. Life.
Nobody's ever given me a mango as a gift before.
I know.
The Sweetest Mango. Taste it.
Well, no one's
Still
ever
amazing.
no one's ever given me a mango for a gift either. But if they did, I'm telling you,
Go on, man.
I am telling you, if someone wants to give me a mango for a gift, hey, I'll take it.
See, there
A
you go.
nice grafted mango.
Oh, you see how that was so juicy?
I am telling you.
Oh, you got
I am
that,
telling you. So, from what I remember, this story was based on your own love story.
That's right.
So we'll
Yes.
come back to the movie, but I want to hear about how you guys met because I think the story will make a lot more sense
Oh,
to people who
okay.
never heard your love story. So in a little tight capsule, just tell us about how you guys met.
Okay. I returned to Antigua after living in Canada for over 25 years and went to work. I returned in 1991, 31 years ago. And I met Howard at the company I went to work for, which was CTV Super Channel here. And he was in the production department at the time. And we worked together very well. I had to produce a program. We clicked professionally. And short story, one day he showed up at my apartment with a mango.
Oh, wow.
That's my kind of man.
Yeah. And we started, and he told me about how he got the mango, and we started a friendship, and we used to hang out together. We used to go up for long drives and play a lot of Luther Vandross, and he courted me, and 3 months after we met, he proposed in the editing suite.
Oh, wow.
1 year later, we were married, and we've been married for 30. We've been married for 30 years, and we've known each other for 31.
That's
oh
a
my
love
goodness.
story. Oh, that's lovely.
Well, on the heels of Valentine's Day, we could not have brought a better story and a better couple to lead us into Love Week.
Yeah, Howard is saying something, Dorit.
I want to hear your side of the story.
I quoted her with a mixtape. I actually made a tape with my favorite love songs.
Yeah.
So we went on this long drive, and it was all of that music.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So you set the mood.
Yeah.
Start with a mango and then set the mood with Luther. I like it.
So Luther and who else? Was it just Luther? Any other songs out there?
Luther, it was UB40.
Yeah.
Who else? Whitney
There was Whitney Houston.
Oh.
Paris Hammond.
Paris Hammond, yeah.
Yes, that's my kind of guy. Do your thing.
And we would drive all over Antigua, and remember, I had just newly returned, so everything was fresh, and and we really I rediscovered the island through his eyes because he took
fantastic!
places that he went to as a child, and and it was really nice.
That is nice.
That is wonderful.
And we were married a year later.
Yeah. Almost a year to the day that we met, we got married.
Oh, that is so. I mean, you guys broke every rule.
Yes.
Every rule. I love it. Who
What's
makes
the
these
rules?
rules
Because
anyway?
my job at the Super Channel, I was the news and production manager and essentially Howard's boss.
Oh my goodness.
Another rule broken.
Oh my goodness. Once you start breaking one rule, just go for the whole thing. I love it. I love
that's
it.
so nice.
So, Howard, who did you have coaching you? Where did this kind of fearlessness? I mean, Mitzi is coming back with her Toronto self.
Yeah.
You know, futuristic, first world mentality.
Yeah, big city.
Yeah.
And your boss. And your boss.
Why, girl?
Yeah.
Your boss.
Yeah.
Where did you muster the courage? Who was advising you? Who was? I mean, who? Where did all this gusto come from?
No, we just clicked from the first time we met, and we actually felt like we knew each other forever.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. And there were lots of.
We immediately started finishing each other's sentences.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing!
And there were lots of quirky little coincidences. I'll just give you one. When I met Howard, he was wearing a CTV Canada pin on his CTV uniform.
Oh, wow.
And I asked him, where did you get that? And the reason why I asked is because at the time I was working for CTV Canada as a reporter.
Oh,
and
wow.
he had my company pin on his shirt when I met him.
Wow.
And then he told me that there were some engineers that were visiting.
There was an engineer from Canada. I went to Barbados to do a training course, and I met this engineer from Canada, and he gave me the pin. He had it.
Wow.
And when I told him I worked for CTV and TV, he said, "Hey, I have a pin that says CTV," and he gave it to me.
Wow. Wow.
So, Howard, let me ask a question. Did you wear this pin every day, or you wore the pin to get her attention?
No, it's a pin I wore every day.
He didn't know where I was before.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Real
So
and I'd never been to Canada.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But just to read, he's saying, well, you asked him where he got that's Howard. Even to this day, he goes out when he sets his mind on something, he goes after it. Wow. And he had obviously made up his mind about me before I even knew it. You know, but it's very unassuming, and it plays out even with what we do on a daily basis. Once he's very laser focused.
Oh,
you know,
nice.
so that's I see that now. You know, I think, I don't know. He had a plan.
You're just catching up.
Yeah. That is nice.
Wow.
That's nice.
Well, there definitely sounds like there's a lot of balance in this relationship. So let's move forward. We've made that love connection. We have a wedding. We're living together. Let's talk about what happens next. The filmmaking, independent filmmaking. How does that happen? After you get married, do you continue working at CTV, or somebody has to leave?
No,
we worked together for about a year, I think.
No, after we got married, I left CTV. I was at Cable and Wireless. I was their first public relations officer. And
I remember that.
Howard was still at CTV. But while we had our day jobs, we started from the time we got married. Well, even before we got married, because the very first program, I was actually still saying my maiden name. We started HAMA, which stands for Howard and Mitzi Allen. And we started that immediately. So the business has been around for 30 years. It was 10 years in that we made the Sweetest Mango. So when we started our business, we were doing television commercials, music videos, and that's how we started. And a TV show, we started with a series that we produced called Island Magazine, which took us around the Caribbean, and it aired on ABS television. So that was the very first that we worked on independently. But while we were at the Super Channel, we were producing content together. I was hosting a show called Insight.
I do remember that. Oh, wow.
So, Howard, with your laser focused self, you're courting this beautiful woman. You're going to marry her. Are those creative juices about business and the inspiration that's multiplying here. Tell us about that. If based on what I've heard, was a business and independent filmmaking and marrying your future business partner, were those thoughts already brewing in your mind?
Yeah, well, I was always planning to start my own business, even when I was working at CTV and even before I met Mitzi. In fact, I had a notebook and I had a logo that I was sketching in this notebook, and it was HAMA. But at the time, HAMA stood for Howard and Maxwell Allen. Maxwell was my brother.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Right. So starting a business and working independently was always something that I had kind of, playing around in my head. Because I come from a family of entrepreneurs and creatively minded people.
Okay.
And so the idea of having my own business was just natural to me.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Very, very interesting.
And when I met Mitzi, that was the first time at CTV that we actually started to produce content. Because prior to her arrival, what we were doing for the most part was we would cover events, right? We'd cover events and use that as content for the Super Channel. When Mitzi came is when we actually started to actually produce content. And immediately saw how the two of us together could create a business where we produce independent content.
Nice.
Wow. And voila, couplepreneurship was born.
I saw that word.
So what I want to understand, though, you started out doing this type of production, but how did you jump from that to film?
Okay, well,
to me, I'm on the outside looking in. It seems like a big jump.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So we worked together for a little bit at CTV, and then Mitzi left, and eventually I left, and then we went back. Mitzi left Cable and Wireless, and CTV had started a news broadcast, which they weren't doing before, and they approached Mitzi about assisting them with the news. And so she went back, and eventually I went back. That was around 1994, I think. And so we worked doing the news for about a year, and then Hurricane Lois hit.
95.
Right. So when Hurricane...
Oh my goodness. When you put it in that context, that tells you how way back we're going, but continue.
Yeah. So Hurricane Lois hit, and CTV was devastated. The entire system was down, and so obviously we couldn't work. The channel was down, the whole network was down, and so while it was being rebuilt, we were basically at home, right? And they kept saying, eventually they would bring us back, but the system was so devastated that actually never happened. And so while we were home, Mitzi was reading she read all the books in the apartment, started reading her journals, and eventually she found that entry about me giving her a mango as a gift. And that's when she was reading it to me, that's when the idea about doing a movie started swirling around in her head. Yeah. A movie is something I always wanted to do, but the cost of doing a film, the cost of equipment in those days was astronomical. What I can do today with a computer and a camera, which would cost maybe $3,000, back then would have been $250,000.
Wow.
US dollars.
Wow.
Right. So so we were playing around with that idea, and also the digital video technology was blowing up at the same time. And so the hardware, the gear became very accessible, and so it went from just a thought to us, like seriously
pursuing it.
Pursuing it.
All that time, we had been, Hammer was busy doing Island Magazine and
TV
commercials.
music
Island Magazine was a
videos.
television series. We did 26 episodes.
Yeah.
Oh,
We were
wow.
doing music videos. We were doing children's television program called Pet Playhouse. So there was a lot of, we were all ready to answer your question about going from what we were doing to film. It's only natural for us because we had a solid background in television. We didn't mention it, but my background is I'm a broadcast journalist, and I was working in television, producing content, and as a reporter in Toronto. So we both came from Howard is a video engineer. We come from solid backgrounds in the technology, and then add the storyteller, which he is. He's very creative and he's a storyteller, and we decided to do the film, do The Sweetest Mango. We got a team together, and that is where the hardcore business experience came in, because as a journalist, I know nothing about business. I didn't have I didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs like Howard. So in this regard, the match was I was organized, I was a planner, I knew how to pull things together, and Howard was the creative, and he had a lot of the training and information needed to work with the technology.
Yeah. Well, basically, I was trained as an electrical engineer.
Oh, wow.
At the State College.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I come from a family of creative people. So basically, I've been able to mix the electrical engineer with my creative side.
Awesome.
That's basically what TV is, right? TV is really a mix of, electronics and creativity.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
You need both.
Yeah.
Oh,
We were
that's
just-
interesting.
We were just talking, Howard just celebrated a birthday, and we were just speaking up, and I realized that Howard has been in telecommunications. This year would make 40 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
What?
I know.
That's long.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Started working in TV in 1983.
Yeah, I was. My mind was. I said to him, "Do you realize you've been in this industry for 40 years? Because normally we start the count from when we were together. You know,
Yes.
and I say I've been a journalist since then, or we've been Hammer. Like for instance, The Sweetest Mango was 21 years ago, well,
Right.
20 this year, and so we were counting these things in segments.
Right.
And then when we started talking about when he started, at CTV, he said, "Oh yeah, that was 1983." So I said, "What?" I said, "We're in 2003, sweetheart. That is now 2023."
23, right.
Wow.
That's a long time.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
I always had an interest in media and broadcasting.
Mhm.
So I used to, I don't know if you remember Al Jackson and ZDK.
Of course.
Of course.
I used to intern with him.
Oh,
Right.
I see.
His
Okay.
playlist. Right, when I was going to school, I would go and he would give me his playlist for the next day, and I would go and go to the library and get all his records for him and lay them out. And
Okay.
sometimes if he's late, I would start the music playing for him.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Before that, I used to co-host a children's program on ABS with Joan Samuel.
Oh, we remember that show
Yeah, of course.
on ABS radio. Yeah.
Radio.
We used to
Yeah.
go to that show in St. Augustine.
really.
The two teams, St. Augustine and Mona.
Right.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I don't remember you. How we probably knew you.
Yes.
It
I'm
was
sure
a
you
bunch
did.
of kids. It was a bunch of kids.
Yeah, we used to love that show. We used to
Yeah.
She had a
Mom and Dad would
concept.
drop us off, and we loved going on
Yeah, I
that show.
love it.
Yeah.
Where was Joan these days?
I have no idea.
Oh, she was
Mm.
special.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, she was.
Wow, you're
Oh, wow.
taking us back down.
You have a
memory lane.
lot
Oh,
of
my goodness.
experience.
Wow.
When ABS was up in Scottsdale, me and my younger brother, we would walk up to ABS from Sutherland.
ZAL, please. ZAL.
Oh, yes.
ZAL. We would walk up the hill and go to ZAL, and we would just sit on the floor and watch Sesame Street at the TV station.
Oh wow! So you were born for this.
I was just gonna say that was your destiny.
Wow. That's
From the
such
time I
a
was
special
a child,
story.
I understood how TV worked.
Okay.
Like even when the other children would be saying, like there's a man in the TV, I'd be like, no, it's not a man. There's radio waves.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Okay, so the leap to your movie wasn't really a big leap.
No.
Yeah, that was just the next step.
People who grew up, they know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And while I was in Toronto, while I was in high school, I was very involved in theater. I was doing theater in high school, and I was doing community theater, and I thought I was going to be an actress. But that's not going to happen when you're the child of immigrant parents. You gotta be sensible. So I ended up studying. I ended up studying broadcast journalism. So for us, that the move was quite seamless, to be quite honest, and quite natural. And we were both passionate about the arts, and we were both passionate about creating, and doing independent work.
Mm-hmm.
So this is such a great story.
I want to ask Howard, you said you come from a family of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So what is it you brought from your family's knowledge and experience
and culture?
What did you bring into Hammer?
Well, for one, like I said earlier, I was not afraid of the idea of working for myself. Like a lot of
that's
people,
a good one. Yep.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, that whole concept scares them.
Yes.
It scared me. It scared me.
I understand.
Of course.
That is
it's scary.
If you come from parents that have had traditional jobs, civil servants or what have you, what you're talking about, Howard, sounds like craziness.
Right. No, but I grew up in that. My mother was a seamstress. My father was a billion different things. I knew him as a carpenter, but he had done so many different things. I would meet people and they'd say, "Who's your father?" And I'd say, "Stedman Allen." And they'd say, "Oh, the shoemaker." I'd say,
"Wow,
no, the carpenter." And they said, "No, he made some shoes for my father." This guy,
what?
He made shoes for his father. His father was a cricketer, a well-known Leeward Islands cricketer, and he made his shoes.
Oh wow!
Right, and so
that's amazing.
Right, but right. So my mother, the seamstress, always worked for herself. Right, and so my father also, and my brothers. Right, so it's something that I grew up into and understood. And my mother would always give me tips about how she ran her business and things like that.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I can just imagine how when he met Mitzi, he was like, "No, I mean this is a missing piece of the puzzle. All the dreams. Of course, she's a gorgeous woman, brings so much to the table, but this is a missing piece that you need in terms of everything. I mean, she's a full package. She fits.
And he had the M already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is scary. That is scary.
That's what I was thinking. I just wasn't rubbing my hands.
If I think it's just a match made in heaven. But let's move on to the filmmaking.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break and see if there are any questions. When we get back, we want to talk about the filmmaking and more the business aspect of it.
Yeah.
So many people have, I like film and I have in-laws who are involved. And so it's something that I play around with, but I wouldn't know where to get started. And I wouldn't have the guts to even venture into that space. And there's so many people out there who have ideas and, aspirations.
Yeah.
But who do you turn to for guidance? So I want to hear about that whole experience when we get back. We'll take some questions and some comments from our audience, and then we're going to talk film and we're going to talk business.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, so we don't have any questions. We just have our Miriam Samuel saying good afternoon.
Hi, Miriam.
Good afternoon, Miriam Samuel. That's our mom. Kara, I think she laughed at something. I'm not sure what. But hi, Kara. She's a regular as well. Stalin Nayak says, praise the Lord. And I think this has to do, I think this was when you were speaking about how you guys met.
Yeah.
So, and that's all we have. Thank you so much for commenting, Starlin. That's all we have now. We've been having some problems with our Facebook link. And so we're trying to get that sorted. It seems as if there was a break in the connection.
Oh, wow.
And so that's people are having a difficulty getting on, but you can join via YouTube. YouTube is still up. So that's probably why we're not getting more comments. But hopefully they'll get it sorted before the end of this session.
Great. Now, before we get into our conversations about film and money, we dropped a link on our Facebook page. It's a survey about compatibility, love, and business. And I want to encourage everyone to talk about the results, to talk about the survey. These days there's a test for everything. So I find it very interesting how they kind of look at the compatibility. If you took the test, well, I won't even tell you what the results are, but we'll come back to it. But I want to encourage everyone, if you got our newsletter, the link was there. If you got our WhatsApp today, the link was there as well. Or you can go to our Facebook page. It's posted in the comments. I'd be interested to hear some feedback on the actual survey. So let's pivot back to the juicy stuff, the filmmaking, financing it, building a business. I think we're going to have a part 2 because this is just so much.
Yeah.
So let's talk to our couplepreneur.
Yeah.
And so Howard, I don't even have to ask. You're the one who kind of laid out the business plan. You're the fearless one. You know what needs to be done. Tell us how you get started. You started your business. How do you begin to look for financing? How do you pull this business together?
You mean the film business?
Well, I'm calling it film, but you tell me how you characterize
film business, but Hammer on a whole.
Well, with Hammer, when we started, like Mitzi said earlier, we started with producing a TV series called Island Magazine.
Yes.
And so between us, we had more than enough skills to produce the program, right? But we didn't have production equipment at the time. We had a camera, but we didn't have editing equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So we started shooting the episodes, and then we basically rented a facility to do the editing. Mm-hmm. And so we invested in ourselves and paid for the production of that first episode. Mm. And then what we did was we got a TV VCR combination.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Mitzi and a colleague that we had as her assistant, they would take that TV VCR to different businesses and basically get them to advertise.
Yeah, we showed them the first episode. We invested in ourselves, which I would say right now is one of my first tips, is to be your first investor. Yeah. And that's what we were doing. That has been all our approach from day one.
Right. So
that's great advice.
Yeah.
Right.
Excellent.
So
believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And so we don't approach you with just a dream.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We make sure that we actually have something. Mm-hmm. And so they would approach banks and different businesses and encourage them to advertise.
So,
we also bought the time on ABS to show the program.
Okay.
I was going to ask about that. Like, how did you monetize this?
Yeah.
Well,
that was going through my head.
Well,
we sold ads in the show, but we bought half an hour of time on ABS.
What did Showtime go for back then? Can you remember? I'm just curious.
We bought the half hour for $300.
Oh, that was expensive back then.
Yeah, and we sold 30-second ads for $300.
Okay, there you go. My man Howard.
You got some tips from your mom, huh?
The interesting thing, though, I'd like to say here is that we were selling 30-second ads for $300 back in 1992.
Which was very
and
expensive.
at the time, ABS was charging $10 and $20 a spot. So taking our work and showing it to business people and saying, we're going to charge you $300 to be in this. And they said yes. I think was probably the best compliment they could pay, because they could easily say, I can get my ad on ABS for far less.
Yes.
You know, but they wanted it in a program that they liked and you know, they thought was of a great, you know, standard.
Yeah, and
So
most
it's something you want to be associated with. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And most of them paid for the entire
season. So we had
wow.
We did 26 programs,
2 seasons,
2 seasons, and we had long-term contracts with these businesses that advertised in Island Magazine. And
Well, that
So-
says a lot about the quality.
Popular,
Yeah.
it became so popular that the show actually started to run later, and like it's supposed to start at 8, but it would start running later and later because other advertisers would try to get their ad before the show started.
So the television was making, the TV
Some
station
extra
was
money.
making some extra money, because when they called up and said, I want my ad in Island
Between
Magazine,
that slot. Yeah.
they just put it before the program, because they couldn't.
That's hilarious.
We were
So
giving
who's working on sales?
Pardon?
Who's working on sales and marketing? Who's doing all these?
I am.
That's what Mitzi was doing. She was going to the
A lot
different
of what we've
businesses.
done, we have basically, between the two of us, we know our strengths and we play to our strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did a lot of that ourselves. You know?
And that's another tip as well, knowing your strengths, huh?
Yeah.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
No, from day one, we always understood. I understood what Mitzi brought. I understand what I brought, and we just fused those together.
And we understood as time went by and our productions became more sophisticated, we also understood when we needed help in certain areas.
Yeah.
You know, like getting an accountant, getting a lawyer, an entertainment lawyer to help with talent contracts and things like that. So, you know, we learned about everything as we were doing it, you know, and that's how it started. And we continue to be, to this day, to be our first investor. So Hammer Productions invests in Hammer Films.
Awesome.
Okay?
Fantastic.
Hammer Productions is documentaries, TV shows, music videos, public service announcements. And Hammer Films are our 5 movies, our film production, of which we've done 5 feature films so far.
Right. So when we started, when we were planning the production of The Sweetest Mango, we were planning that it was going to be $50,000 film. And we knew that, and we could say that because we knew where the $50,000 was coming from.
Ah.
There were some projects that we were working on at the time, and so we knew where that money was coming from. Of course, by the time we were finished with The Sweetest Mango, it was 10 times that.
Let's number 1. Yes.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Right? For a number of reasons. One is kind of like, because we approach the whole production very professionally. I think that gave a lot of people the sense that we had a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so services.
That's good.
Yeah, but services that would normally cost $100 became $500.
Yeah.
$1,500.
Wow.
You already made a deal with someone for a certain amount, and then later they tell you, oh, it's actually $2,000.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You know, things like that, right? But and the other issue too was because this is our first film, right? So there's a lot that we had to learn about the process of making a film. And Spikey famously said that the only way to learn how to make a film is to make one.
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so one of the other things that we learned was that we can't just the script must fit the budget.
Yeah.
So, because when you write a script, there are things in the script that may be not very practical in terms of how do you shoot this scene.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right. And the script makes the movie essentially.
Right. No, but if a script says, and then he floats off up to the moon,
Mm-hmm.
you have to figure out, well, how are you going to execute that?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And the only options you have may be very costly, may involve using a helicopter.
And there were certain things we paid for within the production that is very important where we live. Yeah, and
like
that was transportation and meals.
Oh, yeah, we insisted on transportation. We didn't have to, but we didn't want to rely on people showing up
whenever.
Okay.
Right.
And, so
you're in Antigua. Exactly.
I totally get it.
Bring them on set, and they're with us until we're done with them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and the bus takes them right back home.
So it didn't matter if you lived in Freetown, we came and picked you up.
And it didn't matter if you had a car.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that blew up that was one of the things that blew up our budget, transportation and meals. And we don't regret it because we had everybody.
We never regretted it because one time that we decided not to do it, because we were shooting in the middle of Carnival, and we were going to shoot a scene at the Nook. And all of these people telling us, oh, but we have to go Lions. We're going Lions. And Lions is close to Nook. We'll just walk over when we're done. And so we had this back and forth. Eventually we said, okay, so when you're done with Lions, we'll meet us at the Nook at 5 o'clock. Well, we got to the Nook and they never showed.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So when you watch the Nook, when you watch that scene in the movie, the people in that scene are people that we got off the street.
And our production.
Oh wow.
She called her cousin.
We called up
my
family.
Brother. Right. There was a Rasta guy walking up the road and he's doing ordering meatball and patties.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we learned from that although it was an expensive thing to do, it was actually very necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so those are the things that help to drive the cost of the production up. Plus, we did a lot of heavy marketing to make sure that people would actually come out to see the film. We understood the importance of marketing and promotion. And so,
which is why most people, when they think of us, they think The Sweetest Mango, and I have to tell them, well, we have so many other films, but it was properly branded.
Yeah.
We got support from the Antigua Commercial Bank for all our promotional material. I think we had one of the first billboards in St. John's. It was 10 feet by.
I remember this billboard. Where was it again?
Huge.
It was right on Independence Avenue,
right where
at the top of St. Mary Street.
Where that
I remember. It was there for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I remember it.
Right. And so that's why people would remember it so well. But it was for us a chance to learn even more the business side of creativity.
Awesome.
And creativity is being creative is not a business. So if you are a creative person and you want to make money with your creativity, you have to understand business.
Yeah. For me, art is not a business.
Cool.
Art is just creative expression.
Mm-hmm.
But it has business potential, obviously.
Yes.
Because there's a demand for art, right? But as artists, you have to figure out how you can monetize that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because if you don't, then you can't sustain it.
Right.
Exactly.
If you're a painter,
That's
you have to buy paint, you have to buy canvas, you have to eat. So you have to find ways. So you're doing something you love, but you have to find a way to make it sustainable.
And that's where the entrepreneurial skills will come in, because it's one thing to have the creativity side, but you need to know how to turn that into making money, and making money
in a sustainable way.
And a lot of artists are not business minded,
unfortunately.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a way that your brain is wired.
Right.
But then you need someone working with you that understands the business end of things.
Yes.
Right?
And understanding your market too. For instance, when we make our films, the first thing we say to ourselves is, who are we making this for?
Right.
Who are we making it
Who's your
for?
target market?
Who's your target audience? Yeah.
Who's the audience? And people like to say everybody. Well, no, when they make films in Hollywood, they're not sitting there thinking, I wonder what the Caribbean people will think of this production. They're not doing that. So we are very clear: Antigua and Barbuda first, the Caribbean second, and then the Caribbean diaspora. That's how we see our film and the distribution of our films. The other thing that we've decided after the Sweetest Mango experience is to ensure that we can make back the money that we spend on our films at home, locally. Can this film make the money back locally?
Right.
Once it gets into distribution, that is, that we can call gravy then.
That's the broth up.
Right. Because we have taken care of our market, our intended audience.
We've always treated Antigua as our primary market.
Good.
And then we'd expand to the region and then to the wider world and the diaspora. We treat the local market as our primary market because this is the terrain that we understand. Well, we know the people, we know the climate, and so and we understand the media here, right? When you get into larger territories, the promotion and marketing become even more complicated.
It's a heavier lift,
right? And far more expensive.
Well, I can imagine. Takes a whole nother budget.
That's right. That's correct.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, how about paying yourself? That's another huge mistake that entrepreneurs overlook.
Yes, and I'll tell you, we made that for a few years because we were so passionate about what we did. We were what we were doing. We were constantly taking the money that we make. We were putting it back into another project
and eating mangoes for dinner.
Exactly. And forgetting to pay the electricity bill and forgetting to pay the water bill because you need to pay for catering or you need a special prop or you need so it took us a while to understand, and this is where when I mentioned earlier getting help.
That happens a lot.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
So we got some help. We got an accountant who said, "Hey guys, you got all this there. Let's just have a check to Mitzi, a check to Howard. Once a month. Here's your salary. There you go. And then we also got schooled on because Howard has this way, particularly when we travel. He loves a dollar store because you have to be very resourceful in Antigua. Right. And we would go and buy gadgets and little things out of his
pocket. As a marketer, I'm like that too. I was thinking about how I could use something.
So we then our accountant would say, "Where's the receipt? Where's the receipt? I need you guys are buying these things when you travel. You need to account for it, because this is actually a business expense."
Exactly.
But because we love what we do, very rarely are we seeing it as a business expense.
Yep.
Right? We just think, oh yeah, we do need that. We need to get one of those, So we had to get help in sorting that out, so that we can actually pay ourselves. And we were told, okay, now that you have a salary, if we decide to invest in the company, put it back, then there's a clear, you took it out, you paid yourself, you were going to put it back, reinvest to do something else.
Yep.
That was for us, particularly for me. That was a learning curve because I didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs, and I was always hyperventilating when it came to it took a while for me to because we had Hammer was going full swing while I had a full-time job because I was just like oh boy, I don't know, and then it got to the point where we were getting so busy. Howard said to me, okay, you've got to quit and join me, but I still do media consulting work. I do media consulting for Flow 98.7 in Toronto.
Wow.
So, and I do media training. And so I have always felt like, I got you had the Ryans on, Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
When we started Hammer, I interviewed Mr. Ryan. And I remember when I told him that I was going to quit my day job and join Howard full time, he said, "Don't let go until you have the bull by both horns." That's
He's an amazing guy.
Yeah, he said that. And that's, he said, "Don't let go." And so I went another like 2 or 3 years, working in the media and doing media consulting work. And then it got to the point where we were very busy and we knew we were going to do a movie. We were going to do a lot of things, and I just had to let go.
Yeah.
But Mitzi, I wanna definitely zone in on what you just talked about, because one of the things that they really advise when you are running a business and also a facet of money management, that is very much advised, especially in light of COVID, having multiple streams of income.
Well, yes.
Having your side hustle, not side hustle, side hustles.
Yeah.
But it sounds to me like you have more than one stream. There's Hammer Films.
We do, yes.
Yeah.
There's Hammer Productions, which is client work. People come to us, you want a documentary done for commissioned work, right? You want a documentary done, you want an industrial video on your company, a public service announcement, or what have you. And a lot of our works are internationally funded projects for the region. So we have Hammer is doing that work. And then Hammer Films, we're doing our TV shows. We did a drama series called Paradise View.
Really?
Oh, wow.
We did a children's television program, Pet Playhouse. So we have things that we are producing independent of all those things. And then I was doing my media work, still working in media as a reporter, doing international correspondence work, doing voice work, training, media consulting and training. And that actually, interestingly enough, there was more of that going on during COVID, the more training, because everybody was getting used to this medium,
Right.
And so that has been, for us, the multiple streams. That's how we're able to invest in ourselves. And we take projects to a particular point, and then we look at bringing other people on board when we have already, done the heavy lifting, and people see that we're serious about what we're doing.
Yeah, one of the things that was very different about making films is that we actually had a product to sell, which was different from the TV shows. So we actually had a film on DVD that we could sell, put on store shelves. Yes. And that was very different from what we were doing. And we would have screenings.
Right. Prior to that, you were doing you had a service per se, a consultancy job that you moved on from.
When we made TV shows, the final place would be on TV.
Correct. Yeah. So something that with a shelf life. I can see exactly what you're saying.
Right.
Wow.
What you realize too is that films are forever.
Movies are forever.
Oh yes.
Look at the Sweetest Mango.
Yes. Look at the Sweetest Mango DVDs sell today like it's a new film.
And it's on an online platform where people go on and pay to watch it or pay to download it.
Oh, nice.
Fantastic.
And that could easily be happening after we're gone.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that, the legacy.
Yeah.
But folks, we're going to come back. Let's take another break. We are so, I was looking at the time.
Time is running out.
We're going to take another break.
Interesting.
We're going to pull an ABS and maybe go overtime. Bring back some memories of those days. But we're going to, we want to let our audience know that Samuel Fields Consulting Group we are hosting our second major conference. We had the Life conference last year, lifestyle inspired by financial empowerment. I had a brain dip for a second. And this year it's going to be Financial Wellness TLC. TLC stands for Talk, Learn, Commit. So we want to talk. We want to have those financial conversations. We want to share the insights, the knowledge, and financial literacy. And then the next step is accountability. You can talk about it, you can learn about it, but you have to actually commit to improve your financial picture, your financial situation. So Nicholas, let's get the ad going. We're going to play a quick ad and we'll come back. Mitzi and Howard, when we come back, two things I want to hear about. I want to hear about what you want your legacy to be. I also want to hear about how the film industry has changed and what advice you would give to upcoming filmmakers in terms of how they can approach this business. So that's like a triple barrel question. We'll pick that up when we come back from this quick ad. Okay, great. So for more information about Financial Wellness TLC, you can reach out to us at info@samuelfieldsconsulting.com, or you can reach out to Megan Samuel Fields, 464-0841, or just go to our website, samuelfieldsconsulting.com, for more information. Let's get back to our guests. Any questions that we can take quickly, Megan, or should we just go back to our guests? Why am I not hearing you? Is it just me?
Yeah, I can't hear her.
Yeah, Megan, we can't hear you.
Yeah, because I'm muted. I'm like chatting away. So we have Alfil Dyer saying, "Good day, I'm late, but I'm here." And Wanda Versal, she says, "What a fabulous episode." And she also says, "Paying oneself is a hard concept for new business owners to grasp." I'm glad you spoke about that issue. And she's so right. And just as you said, you're so passionate. You want your business to go well. So you're going to be putting money in, but not realizing that you need to pay yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. That's what we have so far.
Okay, great. So we are on the final leg of this amazing show. I really hope, because I don't want to forget to say it, I always give our guests some advice, unsolicited advice. I think you guys should start some kind of masterclass or something.
We've talked about it.
We've talked about it, and we have done. The interesting thing is, we did a master class at Ithaca College, New York, back in 2003.
Yeah.
2003. Or 2004. It was called Feature Filmmaking on a Shoestring Budget.
Oh, wow.
Some students' minds were blown at just how resourceful we are in the Caribbean when it comes to filmmaking. And we have talked about doing more like it because it.
Well, we have we now. I mean, you guys, I would sign up. I mean, this is amazing. Beyond just the film, though.
Yeah.
Just, the fact that you're a couple working together, that alone.
Well,
is a whole class.
Let me just say something very quickly about the couple thing. We are very different, and we bring different skills to the table, but we are like-minded individuals, and we share the same values. And I believe that's why it works. And we're different in temperament as well. I'm very impatient. Howard is not. He's very patient. So we balance each other out. He allows me not to take myself so seriously, and I think that's what it is. So it's not always the same for all couples.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right.
And we don't have egos. A lot of couples in business, I find, sometimes are competing with each other in business.
I think a lot of couples that are like very career oriented, they wind up competing with each other.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the competition comes from the man.
No,
sorry
I think
to say. I am sorry.
I don't know if I agree with you.
In my experience, the competition always comes from the man. My personal opinion.
Predominantly, but I think I have met women who are, in
you're right.
have that same kind of drive, and they
so.
wind up, competing with each other, and that's not a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
And we put, as passionate as we are about our business, we're passionate about each other too. And we put our relationship, I'm not saying it for this is really true. We put our
really good
first,
nice.
and that helps. I mean, I'll just give you a tiny example. I would be on Howard about a deadline or something that we need done. And he always kids me about this because I'd be telling him we need this done by this date and that date. And I've got on my business face. And then half an hour later, I'm saying, hon, why don't you stop editing? Let's go do whatever. And he would say, which one is it? Because at 1 minute, I'm the hard-nosed manager. And another minute, I want him to stop and come cuddle. He told me I have to finish this thing, And so we try to keep that balance, so that we are able to, have a good relationship while
that's wonderful.
And relationship is always first.
It's always first.
Priority.
Awesome.
Fantastic. So we're gonna wind down, but I definitely want to hear in a quick capsule from both of you. One, how has the business changed in broad strokes? And then secondly, what advice do you have for young filmmakers, young entrepreneurs who are, I'm sure like me, they're just blown away by what you guys have been able to accomplish?
Well, for me, the major changes in what I would say in filmmaking and I guess video production in general is that the technology is so much more accessible. Right? Your phone, the phone that most people have today, produces higher quality images than the cameras I was using a few years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right? You can shoot a feature film on your phone.
And there are film festivals
edit it on your phone.
And there are film festivals for content produced on video on your phone. So there's no excuse for any young person who wants to dive in.
Right. Then Then in terms of distribution, of course you have the internet. So you have a means of getting your product out to the rest of the world. Like, a few years ago, we did not have that. You have to find a
distribution. Go to the loops.
Right, exactly. Right. What hasn't changed is that it's still very expensive to promote. I mean, you have social media. You still have to have a good understanding of marketing and a good enough budget to do it properly.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. But just having access to the hardware is not an excuse anymore. And getting your work out there is also not an excuse anymore.
So are you seeing, as a result of what you've just said, are you seeing more and more persons getting into the film industry?
Oh, absolutely.
There are more people getting into it, but most people are producing are short films.
Yeah.
Yes,
I see.
The problem with short films is they don't have any kind of they're not commercially viable.
Right.
I see.
Yeah. How do you monetize it?
Yeah.
Right. A short film is
more of a calling card.
More of a calling card.
Exactly. You can't sell advertising like you guys did.
Right. If you're an aspiring director, an aspiring actor,
yes,
it's a short film to show show what you can do.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not something that you can put in a cinema and make money from, or put on TV and make money.
Got that. Okay.
But we could be having this conversation 2 years from now, and all that changes.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
Because things are moving by leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
changes almost every day.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, another thing that has happened too is the cinemas are not as popular as they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mhm.
So because people are very comfortable watching movies on their phones now.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
And that is something I thought would never happen. I was like, nobody's gonna want to watch a movie on their phone. Really?
Yeah.
They do.
And I do.
And you know what? COVID, another dynamic. COVID has changed and will continue to change a lot of our habits.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So the marketplace has changed tremendously just
Absolutely.
based on the technology
Mhm.
and the emerging technology.
Right. That's interesting. And then the last question you had, Dewey, before we wind up.
Well, you had one about
Was it?
legacy.
Yes, Mitzi, tell us, what is the legacy going to be? What will my grandchildren be? What will my grandchildren be reading about? As far as Howard and Mitzi Allen, and saying, "Grandma, did you actually know them?" And I'm saying,
Well, I think for us, I'll tell you, for me, I wanted to be one of inspiration. That we are inspiring
Inspire and empower.
and empowering people
Ooh.
to the things that they want, and especially in the area of film and television production, and understanding that all the skills they bring to the table, they can harness it to make a living and to be creative. One of the things that film does, if you watch our movies, it brings a lot of talent together, from musicians to makeup artists to designers, painters, everybody.
Films bring all the other art forms together.
Bring all the art forms together.
Yeah.
And I just want to preserve what Antigua and Barbuda has on film, and that would be the legacy of creating a history where our content is preserved and we're inspiring people to continue the preservation after we're gone.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Awesome.
Guys, this has been, it's every show that we do, we have our notes and our strategy and our scripts, and everything always goes off script, but it goes to a wonderful place.
Exactly. This is awesome.
I can't thank you guys enough. I want to congratulate you for being pioneers in film. I see you as cultural icons that, really made the investment, not only in yourself, but in your country. And Mitzi, I can imagine coming from a traditional family. I knew your dad a little bit. I can imagine, the pushback you probably got it with some of these pursuits. My father would have said the same thing. Like, what nonsense are you telling me, girl? Like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Go then get a real job.
Yes. So I can imagine, but thank God you found your
the thing is,
Prince.
I never got that. I never got any of that from my family.
Right, which is awesome.
It's so amazing how we, how different strokes really, can come together sometimes. So to all of I want to thank both of you for taking the time out. We'd love to have you back. We definitely, if there's anything we can do to support your pursuits, but for sure, let's get that masterclass.
Everybody should follow Hama on Facebook and Instagram, and we have a movie that's coming out, Deep Blue, on the
fantastic
18th. On it's going to be in Barbuda. We're planning the part of the Antigua premiere, so that's new. It's an environmental story.
Do you have a date? Do you have a date yet?
You said the 8th.
Well, the 18th, we're going to be 18th. In Barbuda.
Okay, 18th of February?
Premiere, yes.
Okay.
We'll follow, yes.
Fantastic.
And say the name again?
We're going to be it's called Deep Blue.
Deep Blue.
Yeah, and it's going to be in Toronto, in Trinidad, and we already have a couple of commitments for screenings in North America and other Caribbean islands.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Well, folks, you heard it here.
You heard it here first. We definitely are going
That's
to
awesome.
support this, and definitely go to their social media pages. Hama, is it Hama International?
HAMA, Hama Films.
Films,
Antigua.
okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Congratulations. So that would be film number 6?
5.
Film
That would be
Film
number 5.
Film
Okay.
number 5.
Wonderful.
And tell us really quickly the names of the others.
So we have The Sweetest Mango, No
No
Seed, The
Seed,
Political
No
Drama,
Seed.
Jobless,
Oh, yes.
right?
The Skin,
The Skin,
Yes, I remember that.
and Deep Blue.
and Deep
And now
Blue.
Deep Blue. Okay. Okay. Awesome.
Fantastic.
There are 3 of our films are online at studioandnancy.tv. STUDIO and Nancy ANANSI.TV.
Okay. StudioNancy.tv. Awesome. Great. Thank you
Great.
so
Well,
much.
I feel honored that we had this power couple
Yes.
ahead of Valentine's Day. By the time we come back next Wednesday, it'll be post Valentine's Day.
Yes.
So for those of you who had an opportunity to listen to this interview, hopefully we've offered some insights to strengthen your relationship, something new to think about. It can happen. You can
invest in yourself. Be your first investor.
Exactly. And love and
that.
business can live together.
Yes.
As we've seen here with Howard and Mitzi Allen.
Thank
So
you
it's
so
been
much,
another
Howard and
great
Mitzi.
Say that again?
I was just saying thank you so much, Howard and Mitzi.
Oh yes, I
Awesome.
you really warmed our
Awesome.
hearts today. So
Yeah.
to all of our wonderful viewers, thank you for joining us today. If you missed any portion of this, of course, you can go to YouTube. It's streaming there. You can go back and look at it, and of course, share. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you won't miss out on any of the great conversations that we have here every week. So, do we have a guest confirmed for next week, Megan? I don't think we've confirmed yet.
No, not confirmed, but trust me, it's going to be exciting.
We have such, I don't know, we have such great talent and great
exciting.
stories in Antigua.
Right here, yes.
And
Every week, I'm
enjoy
amazed.
every conversation.
Yes.
And of
Awesome.
course, if we can learn more about your financial journey and get some nuggets of wisdom to empower people, it's a really good thing. So we're way over time. We want to thank all of you for joining us, and we'll see you back next week with another great financial journey, another great story on Likkle Byte Ideas. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.